now call upon Rob Rich for his response.
The Stars and Stripes, the flag of the United States of America, the worldwide hope of all who under God would be free to live and to do His will. Upon its fold is written the story of America, the epic of the mightiest and noblest in all history. In the days when peoples of the old world groveled in abject homage to the heresy of the divine rights of kings, a new constellation appeared in the western skies, the Stars and Stripes, symbolizing the divine right of all to life, liberty, happiness, and peace under endowment by their Creator. To what man or woman is given words adequate to tell the story of the building of this nation? That immortal story is written in blood and sweat, in heroic deeds and unremitting toil, in clearing the forests and in planting of vast prairies where once the coyote and buffalo roamed. Onward swept the nation, spanning wide rivers, leaving in its past village and farms, factories and cities, till at last this giant nation stood astride the continent from the Atlantic to the Pacific. This is the heritage of the people of the United States. It has been repurchased by each succeeding generation and must be re-won again, again, and again until the end of time, lest it too shall pass like the ancient empires of Greece and Rome. The price of liberty is eternal vigilance. What was won at Lexington and Concord and Bunker Hill had to be repurchased at Ticonderoga and Yorktown. What John Paul Jones achieved upon the high seas in the War of Independence had to be repurchased by Commodore Perry on Lake Erie in the War of 1812. The prestige of Admiral Dewey's victory at Manila Bay in 1898 was re-won by the naval battles in the seas above the far distant isles of the Pacific. After the sneak attacks upon Pearl Harbor in Manila in 1941 and had summoned our country to assume its role in World War II. What our troops achieved under the Stars and Stripes at Flanders Field in World War I, their sons were required to repurchase in World War II. In the bloody trek across northern Africa, on the beachheads of Europe, and in the Battle of the Bulge. The flag our American men raised at Hiroshima was the same flag raised at the defense of Pusan and Pork Chop Hill in far-off Korea. Then another generation under the same flag led to stem the threat of communism in far-off Vietnam. Our young people were again called to carry our flag in the defense of a free world in the actions in Grenada and Panama. Willingly, our brave men and women carried our flag in the honor of the American people into battle in Operation Desert Storm. Who among us will ever forget the sight of firefighters raising our flag over the ruins of the World Trade Center? The military personnel draping our flag on the side of the Pentagon, and the citizens of Somerset County, Pennsylvania, placing our flag near the site where brave Americans died fighting the hijackers of Flight 93. No other symbol could have offered such comfort as we still today endure the horrors of that day. Today, American armed forces carry our flag in the villages of Iraq, the mountains of Afghanistan, and the jungles of the Philippines, wherever terrorism may reside. Their struggle against the sponsors of terrorism is the hardest battle yet, and this threat to our nation and to our way of life is certainly as great a challenge as our flag has ever seen. The resurgence of patriotism since September 11, 2001 has rekindled our respect for our flag. Today we see the Star-Spangled Banner wherever we turn, on homes, businesses, automobiles, and billboards. Such displays stimulate our love for our nation and for what it stands. They remind us of the sacrifices being made by the men and women of our armed forces around the world, and they are a tribute to the heroes of the police and fire departments in the nation over. The greatest significance of this flag, however, lies in the influence it has in the hearts and minds of people. It has waved over the unparalleled progress of a nation in developing democratic institutions, scientific and technological knowledge, education and culture. It has served as a beacon for millions of poor and oppressed refugees abroad and stands as a promise that underprivileged will not be forgotten. What is the meaning of the flag of the United States? There can never be a definite answer to that question. There are people in this world who see it as a symbol of imperialism. Others see it as a destiny of the people. But reference to these and similar views of the flag was resolved by Woodrow Wilson when he said, "This flag which we honor and under which we serve is the emblem of our unity, our power, our thought and shape of this nation. It has no other character from that which will give it from generation to generation. The choice are ours. Only true love of our fellow man can create peace. The emblem and token of that love is the stars and stripes, the symbol of the American way of life. Our fathers, God, to thee, author of liberty, to thee we sing. Long may our land be bright, with freedom's holy light. Protect us by thy might, great God, our King."
Lodge Esquire, how shall we further honor our flag?
The flag is formally honored by the Pledge of Allegiance. This pledge was written in 1892 by Francis Bellamy and published in the Youth Companion as part of a patriotic campaign of that magazine. The pledge did not become part of the flag code until 1942, and in 1954 the phrase "under God" was added.
Let us all stand and pledge allegiance and pledge ourselves never to forget the principles represented by this flag. Please recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one God, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. It is now my pleasure to call upon the Reverend Fred Grimm, a veteran of both the Marine and Navy, for a short oration on the history of the flag.
I just wanted to share with you this day a story about when the image of the American flag and its meaning changed for me. I was 19 years old and I was sent to Guantanamo, Cuba in December of 1968 as part of an infantry outfit. And before we went out on the perimeter where we would be spending 24-hour watches, they told us that you're going to have Cubans that will try and make it across the minefield that Fidel Castro put in place. If they can make it to our fence line and over, then we will fly them to Miami and hook them up with the Cuban Refugee Council, and they will have gained freedom by risking their lives. So my first thought, of course, was, gee, I managed to get a C- in Spanish in high school. I'll be able to try out my Spanish. And the gunnery sergeant said, "Now, you dummies, don't try to use your high school Spanish, because these people are scared to death and you're going to mangle the language anyway." So we went out on the perimeter, and sure enough, about 15 a week would risk their lives coming through the minefield. And I was impressed with that. But then in March of 1969, during the night, it was actually 0400, a semi-truck pulled off the road and started coming across the minefield, heading towards us. Immediately, the communist Cubans opened fire and shot out the tires on this truck, and the doors opened, and 126 Cubans ran towards our fence line, men, women, and children. And we went out and tried to help them as they climbed over the fence. And I'll never forget, one man helped his wife over and then got the baby over, and then he was shot and killed. There were over 80 that the communists shot and killed on that one day. And in thinking back on that, when I got back to the barracks the next day, thinking about everything that I had had my whole life, I had taken for granted, the freedoms that we have. I had saluted the flag, I had enlisted, I said the Pledge of Allegiance, but seeing people die for just a chance to become Americans, that's when I truly learned that our flag means freedom. and it's worth a very heavy cost often, but it's freedom, and that's what it should mean to us always. Thank you.
Thanks, Fred. In conclusion of this observance of Flag Day, let us rededicate ourselves to the flag of the United States of America. May the principles of charity, justice, brotherly love, and fidelity ever increase in each of us. I now declare this.
Let these faded flags of our country be retired and destroyed with respectful and honorable rights. They be taken by the bright new flag, same size and time. Let no grave of our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Coast Guard, or Merchant Marines dead be unhonored and unmarked. Sergeant at Arms, assemble the color guard and escort the bearing of the flags and destroy these flags by burning. The number shall stand at attention. National flag front and center. Forward. Forward. Flags until you follow me around. Chaplain will offer prayer.
Almighty God, Captain of all hosts and Commander over all, bless and consecrate this present hour. We thank you for our country and its flag, and for our liberty, for which it stands. To a clean and purging flame we commit these flags, worn out in worthy service. As they yield their substance to the fire, may your holy light spread over us and bring our hearts renewed devotion to God and country. Amen. Brother, present arms. Two. Honor guard, post the colors. At this point, post colors, march down the center.
Drop this one down in here.
To the post, and post the colors in their holders.
Well, open.